Hello, everybody. So today I have the author Renske de Wolf here with me to talk about her upcoming book, The Crowfield Chronicles, The King of the Wolves. So to begin with, Renske, please tell me about yourself. We're really interested in the author behind this book. So yeah.
Okay, the easy questions. So I live in the Netherlands and very close to Eindhoven. And in my daily job, I work in an office in marketing communications. And I have been writing all my life, well, since I could write, technically. And I enjoy dancing, I enjoy playing tennis, I enjoy doing theater. I have a fascination with the English language, which is why I write in English. I've studied archaeology once in a very distant past. I studied international business and now I'm here.
So you were mentioning it a little bit already that you write all your life, but how did you end up writing books, like becoming an author?
So I think I started writing when I was 7, and then I basically never stopped. And at some point I had the epiphany that I wanted to become a writer for real and stop by just writing cute little stories. But I wanted to really to do it properly and to write an actual book. And I think I had that epiphany because I was very unhappy at my job at that moment. And I needed to find something that I knew I could do and that I enjoyed doing and that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. So that's when I started thinking, okay, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this properly. And I started looking of how do you write a book and setting it up. And I think that was in 2015 when I started working on the Crowfield Chronicles.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So what is the book about?
Well, it's a young adult fantasy. And I've been kind of playing with the idea of that history repeats itself, so that if the world would be destroyed and we would have to build up a new society, then what would that look like? And I kind of went back to the Middle Ages, but with a combination of Celtic history. And then you see like a society where women are oppressed, which was not true in Celtic history, by the way, but nevertheless. But so women are oppressed, the society is very patriarchal. And then I added in some fantasy elements, of course. So I made a main character, Rinna, she starts to discover that she has these secret powers, but her family and the whole society is very much against people who have those powers, because they're called Elmentans and they're not to be trusted and they're dangerous. And she's very much torn between, should she do what everybody is expecting of her, or does she dare to figure out what is going on with her? While her father, who's the king, is very actively against Elmentans. So that's what the book is about. So I try to put a lot of elements in, like, discovering who you are, and there's certainly an aspect of things that you fear about yourself. How do you deal with that?
So yeah, really exciting.
That's what it's about.
Let's talk about the book cover. Is the illustration how you imagined it to be like?
Oh, I love it. Can I show it? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show it.
Yeah, you can show it.
All right, I have it here. I put it. So this is the cover. I love it. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
it really
if I put it a bit closer, it has a castle on it. It has a wolf on it. And I'm really happy with it. And the process, how it went, was just Marguerite from Tribes Press. She asked me for ideas, and then basically we decided to leave everything up to the cover designer who read the book, and then he came up with 4 different proposals, which were really great. And then we kind of mixed 2 of those proposals together, but we merged them, and that's how this one came to be. But from the first moment I was like, oh, I love all the options, because I really love the color green, for instance. I'm really happy with that, and I really love the font of the Crowfield Chronicles. So yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I like it too. It looks really gorgeous. So how did you find working with tribes, as you were mentioning that already? So.
It was fantastic, honestly. For me, this was completely new. This is the first time I'm publishing, so I did not know what to expect, and I was a bit nervous about it. And I'm kind of a control freak in the sense that I like to know exactly what's going to happen, and I like to have an action plan and know when the due dates are and who's responsible for what action. And Marguerite just took that out of my hands, and she just made me feel like, don't worry, we got this. We know what we're doing. And that made me feel very relaxed, because I felt like, oh, I don't have to be on top of things. They're taking care of everything. And then I had an amazing editor as well who really helped me, and she gave some really good feedback that really made me think to improve the book even further. And I think I would say, all in all, it was just a very positive experience, of just like building each other up rather than criticizing. It was very positive.
I'm so happy to hear that. So back to the book. I wanted to ask, where do you look for inspiration, or what was the main thing that inspired you to write this book?
The main thing that inspired me to write this book, well, inspiration always comes from small things. For instance, one day I was biking on my way from work to home, and I was biking through a field, and there were lots of crows flying beside me. And I was like, oh my God, a field full of crows, Crowfield. But those are not the kind of things that give you the plot of the book. So inspiration, for me at least, normally comes for tiny details, that make the book more complete, that make the culture feel more like a developed culture. But in the sense of writing a story, so when I thought to myself, I want to be a writer full time, I'm going to write a book. Basically, you start at the beginning. You start with a very small plot line, and then you force yourself to think about it and add stuff to it. At least for me, it doesn't work in the sense that I have a magnificent idea all of a sudden and I'm going to write it down and that's the book. But it, for me, it kind of works in the way that I tell myself, today I'm going to write. I put my computer in front of me or my notebook, because I started in notebooks. And then I just force myself to think about, okay, what is the character? What kind of situations could she deal with? How would you respond to that? And then afterwards, rewriting a lot of stuff that you have already written and think, no, that's not it. But inspiration for me is just, it's nice. It helps sometimes, but when you're in the office and you have to write somebody an email, you're also not going to sit around waiting for inspiration. You're just gonna
Right, yeah.
you're gonna open the email and you're gonna think what you want to communicate, and you're gonna put it there, and then you rewrite it maybe once or twice, and then you continue. And that's basically for me also the writing process. I really think of what needs to happen. If I want this person to grow, what kind of scenarios should I throw at her? And that's how I write.
So how long does it take you to write books, or how long did it take you to write this book?
So this one I started in 2015. Then I finished the first draft in 2017. And then I rewrote it 6 times, I think, until I was really happy with it. And then in 2018 or 19, I started looking for a publisher. And then it took me a while to find it. I think that was last year, so August 2021. And then this year it's being published. So yeah, it took me a long time. But, good things come with time. Is that the expression even? I don't know. But yeah.
I know what you mean. I get you.
Also, I think for me, writing, when you decide you want to be an author and you start writing, you don't immediately run a marathon, as if you thought to yourself, I'm going to run the marathon someday. You start off slowly. So in the beginning, it took me an hour to maybe write 100 or 200 words. Whereas now, if you give me an hour, I can write 1,000 words, so you have to build up your stamina in that sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So why did you choose to write for young adults? Because it's a young adult fiction book. So.
It's young adult. Well, mainly because I love reading young adult fantasy as well. Because it kind of it transports you back to a time where there's so many things happening. You know, you're becoming much more aware of yourself and who you are as a person, and you're experiencing a lot of things for the first time. You know, like you have your first kiss and you fall in love for the first time, and you have like all these exciting things happening to you. And I like exploring that as well. Like, you know, when you throw a lot of hardship at your character, somebody who doesn't even know who they are, who are they going to respond? You know, it creates a lot of interesting dynamics, I think.
Yeah. So what do you love most about your book?
Oh my God. What do I love most about my book? Well,
Well, your favorite character. What is your favorite character?
When I started writing, so at some point I introduced a love interest to my main character, to Renna. Spoiler alert. And I started writing the love interest, and at some point I thought, this is not working. I have to restructure this character because the dynamics are off, and this character needs to make sure that she grows in the story. And the character I wrote did not do that. So I scrapped that the characteristics of that person, and I rewrote it, and I made somebody more who is non-judgmental, who can be like a teacher, who is very calm and rational. And when I finished writing the book, at some point, I think it had already been finished for a year, and at some point I started dating a man, my current partner, and the more I got to know him, the more I thought, holy shit, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. But the more I got to know him, I thought, I wrote this guy, you know, he's in my book. So at some point I asked him, would you like to read my book? I mean, it's not published yet, but I can send it to you. And he read it. And at some point he called me and he said, I can't help but notice there's a lot of similarities. And I really enjoyed that, because the main character, a lot of her personality is inspired by my own personality, of the way I used to be when I was a teenager. And I really love the idea that I built a love interest for her that in the end turned out to be the man I still had to meet at that point.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. So what do you want your readers to take away with when they read your book?
Well, obviously, it's always nice when you can recognize yourself in a story at some point. But I think the themes of like getting to know who you are more universal. And I think what I would like to get my readers out of it is that the sometimes the things that you fear most about yourself, you can turn into your greatest strength. You know, that I think that's something to take away from this book.
Yeah. That's good.
And you know, like, life is hard, life is difficult. You know, life throws all kinds of stuff at you, and you have to deal with it. And you're not alone in this. You know, we all have a lot of stuff we have to deal with. So I think those are some things I would like my readers to take away from it.
And who would you say should definitely buy your book?
Well, for sure, anybody who loves young adult fantasy. You don't have to be a young adult to enjoy young adult fantasy. But I wrote the book with in mind girls from the ages of 13 to 18. And then when I gave out like a few of the earlier drafts, I noticed that a lot of my male friends actually enjoyed it. So if you're a man, don't be scared to read this. And I think personally, I've always been a huge fan of Jane Austen as well. And there are some hidden nods to Jane Austen in this story. So if you like costume dramas and you're scared to try fantasy, maybe give this book a chance as well.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Are you planning on writing more books?
Definitely, yeah. Like I told you, I've been writing all my life, and that's not something I can stop. I enjoy doing it. Even if nobody would ever want to read my work, I would continue doing it. Maybe not necessarily the sequel to The King of Wolves, but something else. I have a sequel in the works already, for this, and also a third part that I planned. You know, at least I have the structure, the outline ready. I have a film script in the works as well, so I will definitely continue writing and hopefully publishing more. But that's yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So is there anything you would like to add in the end?
Yes. Over the years, whenever I told people that I am writing a book, there's so many people who respond with, "Oh, I really want to write a book one day in my life as well." And to those people, I would like to say, you should, and you should plan it, because if you keep thinking, "Oh, I would really like to write a book," yeah, you know, thinking about it is not going to write the book. You have to do it. And it's scary, but if you find yourself the right partners to work with, then you can definitely do it, and it's really worth it. I cannot tell you how it feels that, you know, after so many years of working on this book, and I finally have the physical version in my hand, it feels so rewarding. I mean, like, even if nobody ever reads it, it feels so rewarding that there's now like a physical result, and I can recommend that to everybody who ever says, "I would like to write a book."
That is so encouraging. Thank you, Renske, so much for doing the interview. I really love talking to you as the author and also about your book. And yeah, I appreciate it a lot that you took the time out of your day to do this interview with me.
No problem at all. Thank you for your time, and thank you for setting this up. It has been a pleasure.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye.